I'm doing great. How you ladies doing?
We're doing good. My name's Grace, and this is Cam. We're part of the public relations team
Good
with
morning,
Park
guys.
Society Row. Good morning.
How you
We're
doing?
super excited to have you on the podcast today. Thank you for joining us. We kind of just want to start with like the beginning when you started creating music. So when you were first starting to produce, what was one of the biggest setbacks you kind of had to overcome that really was like a defining moment for your career?
One that stands out the most is about in 2012. I was signed to a record label. Was with Capitol Records, and after the deal happened, everything was great. Recorded an album. Everything just didn't really work out as planned, so we got dropped. It felt like a bit of a setback, but honestly, it was more so like, okay, now it's time to do this on your own and really make this happen. So it made me work even harder, to be honest with you. I mean, I just felt like a bit disappointed in a way because everything didn't really work out as planned. But after that, it was just like a rolling train.
Yeah, and that can definitely be one of those moments where in the moment it feels like one of the worst setbacks and that you might not overcome it, but then later you can go back and realize, oh, that actually pushed me, to be more creative, do more what I wanted to do. So
I didn't feel like I was in a box anymore. I didn't feel like I was just always being told, you got to do this. You must wear this. You must be here at this time. It was more so a thing where like, okay, I got to do things on my own now.
So what or who is someone in your life that influenced you to create the way you do, or was like a huge introduction to music in general?
A couple people actually. If I can start back from the beginning, I have an uncle. He's like a music fiend. Like growing up, he had everyone's album from A to Z. I mean, pop, rock, jazz, gospel, R&B, you name it. He had everybody's album. And I remember we lived in this big house. He lived on the bottom floor. I lived on the top floor. And I just remember as a kid, just always spending a lot of time in his apartment, playing his music and playing all those records. Then between like junior high school and high school, I had a mentor. His name was Mr. Wright. He pretty much taught me everything I know now as far as like my character, how to approach music, different styles of music. He was a huge mentor in my life. He was also my dance teacher. He passed away a few years back. He was a major influence for me. And then I would say recently, my producers, 80 and the Tramp, we've really created this oasis of like a creative environment around us. He makes the beats. Precise does a lot of the words. We all do the words as well, but then I come in with these creative harmonies and melodies and things. So it just all glued in one is like a perfect blend.
While you're like making those connections and how everyone is coming together to almost like make this like orchestra, like this orchestration of like one song, like what's the one that you're like most proud of like to date?
There's not one in particular that stands out. Well, there is one that we did. It was like our last hour of recording. I had work early in the morning, and Trent put the beat on as I was walking out, and the song just came out legit in an hour. When I mean words, harmonies, everything just came out in an hour. So that has to be the most that I'm proud of because it just happened like on the spot. The name of the song is called Can We? And we wrote it for our artist that we're working with called Nicole Michelle, who's also on the Slugger Town label.
What's your songwriting like process on a typical day?
My songwriting process on a typical day, it goes up and down. For the most part, it starts with the track and how the track makes me feel in that moment. But I've gotten to a thing where even on my phone, I have hundreds of voice notes. So I could just be on the train and I'll hear a melody and I'll record it on my phone and, I'll pass it on by this our recording time, whatever. But for the most part, is I hear the beat, I'm in the space, and I just let the energy in the room kind of take over the story of what's about to happen within the song.
Yeah, and that also seems like a good creative process to not kind of block yourself from, you know, if you have a specific process, like, oh, I always, you know, write the lyrics and then we figure out a melody, but, you know, you have these voice notes, maybe it's a tune, maybe it's a lyric, you know, some things like that, and then you can kind of create like different music from that.
It can be a phone call you just received, it could be a breakup, it could be a conversation, and then from there you just build a song. It is definitely like one of the most fulfilling things for me, like to create a song from scratch, and then at the end it becomes this whole thing.
I love that. So a lot of artists talk about hitting mental roadblocks, and that can be, you know, a lot of different ways. It can be in your personal life, you know, like writing, creating music, you can hit mental roadblocks. What is like kind of a process or a way that you try to get out of these mental roadblocks? Like, is there kind of a routine that you go through? Is there something that you do for yourself? And how does it, you know, kind of affect the way you create post mental roadblock?
Oh man, definitely. I would say one of the first things is a cup of tea in the morning, or like a cup of coffee. Definitely kind of just like soothes me and kind of relaxes me. For sure, prayer. During this quarantine time, I've been trying to focus more on just like a little breathing exercise and maybe start to meditate. And I've actually started doing a lot more writing, because, you know, obviously everything's on the phone and everything's being typed out in a voice note or what have you. So I've been writing a lot more. So I would just say for sure, getting up and just pulling myself out of it as much as I can. I love to jog. I love to bike ride. So all of those things where I can almost like escape from the world for a minute, where I just like put my headphones on and I either jog and I ride. So I would say those are the things that always like kind of get me out of where I am in that moment. I just get up. I just have to get up. And, you know, we do have those days where we just don't want to get up. Mm-hmm. I felt like that yesterday. Like it was my day off from work, and I'm like, nothing is getting done today. And it was 100 degrees outside. So I was just really in a space of like, okay, we're not doing anything today. But, you know, this morning I knew I had an interview, but I was like, yo, get up. Like, you have things to do. So.
Yeah. Especially in like a time, especially when, you know, when we're spending so much time at home and like, you know, alone, especially, you know, people aren't going to work, you're not going out with your friends. You can sometimes fall into like a trap of getting too in your head when you're that alone. And that can definitely cause a lot of mental roadblocks. So it's good to have those routines of like either going out for a jog or even like writing, listening to music. Things like that can really get you out of your funk for sure.
Absolutely. We all have some type of anxiety and, you know, depression or in our thoughts and overthinking. So as much as I can be that light to myself, I'm just like pouring that out to other people as well. Like, just get up. All you got to do is get up and put your sneakers on. After that, you can just go wherever you want and do what you need to. But for sure, like, I just like to always keep that positive vibe around me. If not, I'm not messing with it. So
absolutely. So kind of on a different track, we're going to talk a little bit more about like your music specifically and some of your work in the past. So we wanted to ask you, what was your first time on stage? Where were you? And if you could kind of just like describe that feeling to us, or because I know that's like a special moment for a lot of artists, is like the first time performing in front of other people and having people vibe to their music. So
my first time on stage. Okay, so I definitely remember this very clear. But one of the most clear times was junior, maybe like elementary school. We was doing like a tap dance routine. My teacher name was Miss Harrigan. She was definitely like a thriving force in my elementary school and pushing me. You know, she always told me, God gave you all of these gifts, and if you don't use them, He's gonna take them away from you. And from there, I just was like, okay. But I remember the first time being on stage, it was this Frank Sinatra song, I Get a Kick Out of You, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was this tap routine. We had the sticks, we had the tap shoes. I remember going to Payless on my own, buying some shoes, and going to a shoemaker, and he added the taps on the back of my shoes because everybody in the class had real tap shoes, and I couldn't afford them. So I made it work, and I look back now and I was like, I'm thinking to myself, being so young, I don't believe I was even able to get that done on my own. And yeah, that's actually crazy to actually speak about now and think about it. It ties, it really ties into everything I'm doing right now, because I'm still the same exact way. You know, I'll make a way out of no way. You know, you can throw me a white t-shirt and I'll make a whole outfit out of it. You know, so that was one of my most memorable times on stage. And then another one, we was doing These Are the Times by Drew Hill, and I was doing my first solo. This was still, I want to say, elementary or junior high, and then from there, it kind of just sparked this light in me to keep on doing this one thing. So I've been going ever since, to be honest.
I can definitely see that when like you're talking about your music, you light up, and when you're performing, from like the Instagram posts and the YouTube videos I've seen you like really just dive right into it. So for the music video for Forever, you do some pretty fancy footwork in that. Can you like, have you been dancing for like a while? Like
I've been dancing pretty much my entire life. I want to say if anything, I more so started out. No, I didn't start out as a dancer. I started out as a singer first, but I always danced as well. I would trick kids like, oh, we're going to the Apollo next week, and make up dance routines. We would not be going to the Apollo, but this was my only way of like pulling people in. So as far as the dancing is concerned, yeah, I've been dancing my whole life. It's always been a part of every choir I've been in or every glee club I've been in. We've had to always dance and sing. And it's always great if you have both traits, because it's easier for you. You know, there's some people who can only sing, and there's some people who can only dance. But having both has just always been a blessing of mine to have, and a gift. But in the Forever video, it was very difficult because I had to learn that choreography on Zoom, which was very difficult for me because I need that energy. I need a mirror. I need a room where I could just feel what's going on. And I learned it on Zoom, met the girl that day of the shoot, and we just made it work. And, you know, at the end, I also added my own little choreography in there as well. So, once again, I just made it work.
Okay, cool. Taking us in kind of a different direction. So we saw that you were on Hip Hop Holiday. What was it like to be a part of it? Being on BET is kind of a big deal. Can you describe how you felt when you saw what it felt like seeing yourself like on television?
Absolutely. While I wasn't actually in the movie, I wrote a couple songs for the movie. Mm-hmm. But the feeling of hearing my voice in a movie, it wasn't too close to Christmas, but I was like, you know, I want to do a Christmas song. So I sat right here at my dining room table and wrote the song, called my producers like, hey, I got this idea. About a week later, we had a finished product. Then from there, we just like added a few more people to it. Like, for example, it was supposed to only be me. We added an additional artist who's also on Illtown Slugger by the name of Tanika Simone. And then after her, we got the call that Darnell Jones was like, he loved it, and then he hopped on it. So, which was also a big deal because I love Darnell Jones. You know, I hear that I look like him. I hear that I sound like him, all of that stuff. So it was just amazing. Like, it just all really worked out. It wasn't forced. It wasn't anything like confusion. I just put the great energy behind it. I kept praying, and it worked out. So I'm waiting for the next movie.
That's really incredible. And that's also like kind of how you mentioned that it happened really naturally. I think that's something that's really important, especially for creatives in an industry where you really don't want to compromise on, you know, your sound and your music. And we were speaking to someone yesterday, and she's a designer, and she was saying how it is important for her to make sure that the people she's working with matches her energy and is going to be on the same page about what they're producing, because if you don't make sure of that, then it can end up being something that you know, didn't want. It kind of goes back to like your record label, like looking back, or in the moment, it would have seemed, you know, like really devastating, but then you kind of realize that's an opportunity for you to create and like pick who you want to work with you and who you want to engage with.
It is very important. It is very important to keep that energy, to find that energy and bring that energy as well. Because you don't want you just don't want no bad vibes. Like,
Yeah.
and if you do, it's not, you probably should not be in the room. You know what I mean? So I lead with that first. I lead with a smile and a great greet, and from there, it just really happens organically. So I'm just blessed to have this little aura floating around me. I love it.
Wonderful.
So we were looking at your Instagram and we noticed that you are really into like the streetwear aesthetic.
Yes.
How did you kind of get into fashion? Like what was that kind of journey like?
How did I get into fashion? So I also work a retail job. I'm a visual merchandising manager at a popular retail chain. And so I've always been into fashion for that. But even before then, as a kid, I look at pictures from back in the day and I would ask my mom, like, who dressed me? And my mom always told me, like, you always dress yourself. It's just always been a part of my DNA. It's always been a part of me. I have a bunch of brothers who were all great dressers, my uncles, and my dad was a great dresser. His nickname was Stylistic. I look back like I don't know who you was hanging around, but that's a weird name. But anyway, he's always been a very stylish guy, and even with on TV, who I see like Usher, Pharrell, dudes with that type of style, I see what they do, and I just add my own little stake on it. But I've always been into fashion and merchandising and creating and styling, so I do a little bit of everything. It's just always been a part of what I've always been doing as a kid. So I just still do it until this day.
Well, speaking of your Instagram, we're about to wrap up this interview, but I kind of wanted to do a surprise little segment for you. So I don't know if you've ever seen Hot Ones. It's kind of an interview show where they have hot wings, but they have a segment on there that says describe that Instagram post. So I'm going to share my screen here for a second, and I have a couple of your Instagram posts that you've posted, and we kind of just do a little bit of a backstory of like who you were wearing, what you're doing, who you're with, so on and so forth. So let me just share my screen.
I love this. Okay.
Quick. All right. So then I'm going to hit, hang on, share, and then I'm going to hit present.
Oh.
Okay, so our first outfit is this one and this performance. Can you give us a little bit of a background on this?
Yes, you can. Well, I can. So this was not the outfit that I was supposed to wear, first of all. But the day before the show, I was passing by this thrift store and I saw that jacket. And I just kind of lost it. I was like, this is fire. And then from there, I found the pants at another store, and then I found that top at another store, and they're all the same exact pattern. And I ended up wearing this, and I had these gold sneakers on. So yeah, it worked out perfect.
That's amazing.
And
performing.
this performance was at Drum in Alphabet City, and the price of this outfit, you would say, oh shit, like you paid nothing for that, because I found everything for great prices. So I'm proud of that look. I like that one.
I love that.
So
this was it a Soul Train themed party? Because you look absolutely fabulous. Who are you with? What are you doing in this?
Oh, I love this. I love it. Okay, so this is my annual costume party that I've had that I have every Halloween. The theme this year was a night at the Soul Train, so everyone was dressed like a little disco theme. These are my friends, Kertula and Roxy, who were my babes for the night. This outfit, once again, like last minute, got the details in, the wig, the scarf, the glasses. I had cowboy boots on for the first time. I was going for like more of a pimp style. Mm-hmm. I actually had 2 outfit changes that night. My first outfit was this glitter cake with gold bell bottoms. It was a jumpsuit. It was a whole production.
Oh my God.
Yes, it was amazing. Like, I love Halloween. Everyone thinks it's my birthday, but it's really not. It's just like a great time to just dress up. I love Halloween. Yeah, so this is one of my favorite looks as well. Yeah, I look really good this night. I had like glitter on my chest. It was,
You
yeah.
look incredible in it. I love it. I love the aesthetic. I love all of the gold. You know, it looks great.
Even
Yeah,
the
we
stage,
saw-
even the stage in the background, I designed all of that in the back as well with the stage, and I went and put balloons up and streamers. It was amazing. We really had a great night that night.
That's amazing.
And
Kim
then
and
so our last photo is this one from a photo shoot that you did pretty recently. Explain the shoot, what you're wearing.
Well, this is funny. This was one look from my shoot that I just threw together in my bag. But I had this turtleneck and this it's a mask, but it also folds into a hat.
Mm-hmm.
I wore it for a performance one time, and then the jacket that I had on with the outfit destroyed the back. So it has this huge stain that's unremovable. So I had this tweed vintage blazer that I bought from a thrift shop, put the mask on, and then my friend whose house I did the shoot at had this jumbo pair of scissors, like it was just laying around on the floor. So I grabbed it. I didn't really cut the mask actually, but I was pretending to. And it was almost like an unveiling type of a idea I was going for. And I love the rings, I love the jewelry, I love my eyes. It came out really good. I was shocked because I wasn't planning for this to even happen. So
Yeah, no, I loved that shoot. I loved all of
it
it.
was like a professional shoot. We were looking at it. We were like, who's the designer?
thank you so much. It was all just me being creative and spontaneous and good energy and all of that good stuff.
So
I love that. I love that.
segment. Thank you so much for like doing that with us. That was so much
Of
fun.
course. That was a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
and
I
thank
appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time, getting to know your creative process and everything. It's been really a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day as well. It's
Of course,
beautiful.
thank you as well.
Bye,
All right,
guys.
guys. Have a good one. All right, guys.